I mean, it's my stance on her.
Well,
I mean,
I have my feelings about that. So
well, share it.
I'm gonna say it now. All right.
Yeah, go ahead, share it. This
Okay.
is
I feel that she shouldn't have competed yesterday. And hear me out. She competed in the Pittsburgh Pro Show and she won. That means she already qualifies for Mr. Olympia.
she automatically qualifies anyway because she's second and she's number two.
Okay, all right, okay. See, now I learned something new because I didn't know
Yeah,
that. Now,
yeah.
so
It's top three. Her and Sharonica are the top three. They already qualified, and that was the fourth show after the Olympia she did.
but if they're already qualified, then why, you know, maybe I guess to stay, I guess it's good to compete. I guess more than once a year just to stay
Active.
familiar with the stage, to stay active. Yeah, that's a good rule. But doesn't I feel like it takes away from other competitors who might have had a chance to make it to Olympia that have never made it to Olympia. That's just my thoughts.
But I think this is the opportunity where the IFBB needs to consider changing the rules in that when you do have someone who's already qualified and someone who, obviously is going to win, they need to go ahead and award the second place person to proceed, as qualifying for the Olympia if the first place person is already qualified. They did this with pro cards years ago with some divisions. So how come they can't do it with shows on, Olympia qualifications? That's how I feel. I mean, Dr. Natalia, she's a competitor and, we love to compete. And so as professionals, you can't really blame her for not, for competing. I mean, that's her job. Her job as a professional is to compete and, to show up. And who knows, what's to say that the cash prize that she got, what if that's what she's going to use to promote and to help sponsor shows next year? Or, she's always very generous with helping shows and helping promoters. So I just think the rules need to change for the IFB. The IFBB needs to change the rules.
Yeah, I talked to her about that. Yeah, they say the same thing that if you are already qualified, you already got your spot. And remember during the pandemic, they were doing this where if you won a show and you're top two because you have some places that people couldn't travel, then you were given top two competitors were given qualification. They were doing that for about a couple of years because that's when they had good amount of numbers. And then they changed the rules because it was top five competitors, except for the men's division, which always going to get because you realize it's getting men's divisions up out of bitch. It's always going to get more of the advantages compared to the other divisions that they cut out the top five, meaning that like for this year, if they were still doing it, Nadia wouldn't have to she has to compete, so that's she does like to compete because I know she did three shows last year, and she did Toronto where she got I think second, and then she did the Imperial where she won, and then she did the show in the UK, you know. And I like Nadia Capasoto, but still I feel like but we all know that the IFB and PC not going to do that. They're not going to change the rules. So like it's like getting that being a part of because you and I were talking. She has a a client that's playing softball this weekend, and you know how now when you lose, they even give losers a consolation prize. To me, you lose, you go home, you ride off. That's it. You shouldn't get no awards. But that's I think the mindset of the NPC IPB that if they give you this reward and you hadn't really earned it, like again, I think the person who took second at that show was, if y'all remember that, was Paula Ranta, and she's just in her 20s, and this girl, if you see her, she has potential because last year she competed, she cracked top five in a couple of shows. She did. I think she did Tampa. She did. I think she did. Imperial took second, and she did. I think the Tupelo in the Arizona Pro, and her coach is Nasir Hyacinth, and she took second to Natalia, where you have someone like Sharana Kitten, who was third to Natalia at Olympia, taking fourth place.
Yeah, if you look at that, there's another video there. If you show that as well, it's the one that's right next to that on the left. I mean, if anybody wants to know what feathered quads look like or what we're talking about, it's right there. So, I mean, she had probably some of the best quads of the whole show at New York. So I saw that and I was like, okay, well, based off of that, she's probably minimum top 5. But I was pleased to see that she got top 3. So, especially with the lineup with Natalia in it. So that's really impressive on her part.
Yeah, I mean, going against Natalia, it was her, Natalia, and Amanda Machado. Amanda took second. Paul took third, and you beat out a number 3 Olympian who won the show last year, and that was Sharonica Hinton.
Right, but I'm glad that Sharonica is still getting top 5 placings with a classic WPD look, because it means that they're not wanting to go completely in the direction of basically making WPD into lightweight bodybuilding, which is what a lot of people are worried is going to happen. But as long as she keeps getting top positions, that you don't necessarily have to be going that way. So I'm glad that she's getting rewarded for that with a classic WPD look.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, yeah, because if we talk about how we see how the divisions are kind of like pulling away, like one lady who I shows the same show as Sharonica and Natalia is Brigitte. How you pronounce her name? It's Arson or something. I know she did an interview with Jeremy, and she was 4th at Pittsburgh, and then she does this show, and she comes in 5th. And if anybody, I'm gonna say this: you think this woman should stay in physique, or she should just go ahead and go up?
She looks like a bodybuilder to me.
Well, but if she was to do that, I mean, she's gotten 2 top 5 placings at 2 shows in a row. So, I mean, that would seem to indicate she's exactly where she needs to be. If she was like at the bottom of the lineup, like other competitors here, I think Christine Salinas, she's been 11th place both at Pittsburgh and at this show. So, I mean, if someone was considering making a change one way or the other, it would probably be her because of that. But, I mean, as long as she's getting a top 5 placing, why would she change? Mm-hmm. I guess would be the question that I would put out there.
Yeah, but you never know, because, if she does, maybe she should place, because some ladies, they were doing pretty good in physique before, then switched over to women's bodybuilding, and then, boom, they got the qualifications to Olympia. It's kind of a mixed bag of nuts sometimes. You're just not sure what the judges are looking for now. They tell you they don't want the big muscle development like women's bodybuilding, but then you get some women who's just so close to the division where it's confusing.
I did have a question for Nicole to play devil's advocate for a moment, because I've heard this argument against Natalia before. What do you think about Chelsea? Chelsea already got her qualification at the Vancouver, the show prior to this one, but here she is showing up to the New York Pro. Do you feel the same way about Chelsea that you do as about Natalia?
I have no heart, and I met Natalia at Olympia, and she really is. She's a sweetheart. I really liked her, but I just feel it's not just with women's physique. Even like in figure, like Lola Monte, she won the Pittsburgh Pro Show last week. And if you say the top 3 qualified to compete in Olympia the following year, I was like, why not give the other competitors a chance to qualify? So I'm saying that's just like.
Well, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess they have to consider, somehow they've got to make money, and when these shows that are offering the most prize They've got to chase it because it's expensive to compete, and they're probably still trying to pay for the competition, from the last time, the expenses. So,
Mhm.
there's got to be a better solution.
I think your solution is exactly right. Um, Eunice, I agree with you completely. They should, if you're not going to bring back the point system, if you're going to eliminate it, you should have the bump system in its place. If you've already gotten your qualification, give it to the next person in line.
Mhm.
That's exactly what they should do. Because, I mean, even Natalia is lifetime qualified for the Olympia because she won one year. So she doesn't have to do any more pro shows at all for the rest of her career, and she could continue to go to the Olympia. And if she wins, well, I guess they've changed it now. It's not necessarily lifetime if you don't show up based on this new ruling that they did when it comes to pro status and such like that. I don't think that's necessarily true anymore, but I mean, if you keep showing up, as far as I know, and you're still an active competitor, she's lifetime qualified for the Olympia. So she never has to do another pro show again. And she can still go there, but I agree with you, Eunice. That's probably the reason. That's the argument I've given in the past. I mean, Natalia is smart. She's doing this for a reason, not just for the money, but again, she's knocking off potential competitors. Every one of these pro shows is another competitor knocked off the board. So it's basically a game of chess. And if you decrease the field and you're a top level competitor, you've increased your probability that you're going to win. So as long as A, it's not breaking the rules, B, it gives her a strategic advantage, why not take advantage of it? That's just the way that I see it.
Like it's the same thing with Jessica Reyes Padilla because she'll do 4 or 5 shows, and with figure they have more numbers compared to women bodybuilding, physique, and even fitness. And she can do as many shows because still if you do knock off this many competitors, you still got a lot more to worry about, right? Like now, like so again, Lola just knocked off somebody else, which still still possibly she might just I think with her I think she just said what I'm gonna do the show and I'm done, unless she says she wants to do another bigger show. And with the Pittsburgh Pro, they had a big prize money. I think it was $10,000. That's a good chunk of change. And I know Natalia last year did sponsored women's physique at the Triple O, but now I think she's going to do a show. She did this also last year. She did a show in Brazil, and I think she sponsored the show this year. And yeah, it's the money thing. But then you got to think about it. What was the prize money for that? Was it $5,000? I think that was it. And
I can't remember off the top of my head.
yeah, I think that's what it is because I know with the Pittsburgh show was 10,000, and $5,000 for this show. After between that $15,000 together, after paying taxes like that, whatever else, and investments, it's not much money compared to if you just saw, or if you heard, if you saw the Auto Classic, Derek Lundford got $500,000.
Oh God, don't get me started on that.
We might
don't get me started on that.
We'll talk
really.
about it a bit later. We might talk about this a little later. I know,
but it's not just happening in women's in the women's divisions. It's happening with the guys. This is what Derek Lunsford's. Is it his second show he wins in a row? Mm-hmm. He won the Arnold Classic, and now he won the Pittsburgh Pro, and what was the prize money for the Arnold Classic? Was that 600,000 or was it 500?
500,000.
500,000. Okay, and so now the Pittsburgh Pro, he won 200,000, and I mean, the old school guys used to compete often, and maybe the rules were different then because it was different then. But yeah, Jeremy, I think, the bump system is the only way to go if you're not going to bring the point system back.
Right, because otherwise your field is going to be small.
Yeah.
At the biggest show of them all. And it's like, if you're trying to eliminate that, either go with the bump system or specifically for divisions that have smaller numbers, bring back the point system for them. Because I think, who was it that brought up the example of the wheelchair division? That I guess was that Ed? Now you said that they still have the point system. for
The-
that, right?
the
So I mean,
adaptive-
if you're going to do that with individual divisions, if your concern is numbers at the show, bring it back for women's bodybuilding. Bring it back for women's physique, for the more muscular divisions that have lower numbers. Why not? So
Yeah, it makes sense because because fitness has far less shows than physique and women's bodybuilding. Because I think maybe like at the most 13, maybe 12, and and that could help it because it's one of the toughest divisions. Because that's why now you're seeing Missy Trescott moving over from fitness to figure now because it can be a lot on you. But also we go back to again to the physique division. I saw you looked pretty impressive, and this was her physique debut because she was originally in figure. Her name is Renee Miller, and she has potential. I think maybe it's like I said, this is her debut, and maybe she need more time to maybe stew a bit. Like remember when Paula made her debut last year, we talked about how I think because she's still young in her mid-20s, and I think just need the time to really, how Janine says, to outgrow her baby muscles. And Renee looked very impressive. I mean, this is a picture. I posted this picture in my IG stories, and she shared it. And she has potential. Like I said, she's still growing. I mean, coming from figure, I think she competed in figure in 2023, and this is her debut.
what was her placing at this show? I couldn't remember.
I
can't
think
remember at the
she
top of my head.
was either 8th or 7th, because I think she was right behind Robin Mays.
Mm.
And Robin Mays the lady is 59 years old and still holding her own. Like
Yeah,
we
Robin
saw-
placed 6.
Yeah, so that makes her 7th.
Yeah, because Robin was in the first call out.
Yeah. And Robin, like I said again, I'm a fan of Miss Mays. I have her on my channel, and this woman, she just got her. She has her Masters Olympia qualification, and she did the Emerald Cup was it last month, and she plays very well. She is right here right now.
Looks amazing.
And her
Yeah, look
condition
at
is
that.
Yeah, shredded.
just crazy. It's
Well, now
crazy,
what?
especially
Well, now the picture though is put up by WBB Edits. Is that edited?
I believe it
Has
might
that been
be.
has been
Yeah.
then enhanced? So,
Yeah,
but I
it
mean,
is.
I think
even
maybe
still,
coloring.
even if it is enhanced, I mean, still, that's still her baseline physique.
I mean,
Yeah,
she
it's
looks.
like she looks amazing.
I've seen her in
And then I
person.
mean,
because
and that's even her title, amazing.
yeah, yeah.
that she is at this age. I mean, that's really really impressive.
I've actually competed against Robin, so I know that she looks like that. So when you see Robin's name come up on the roster, you're like, oh darn.
The woman is, I mean, just amazing. Especially her and Sharonica. They are they're pretty much they're the example of women's physique. This is where they should be. Like if we go by what's the the criteria for physique, Robin should be, I don't know, maybe number 2, and I can see Sharonica being number 1. But the thing is, it's always going to be the issue with her age. She was close to getting qualification last year. She took second at Toronto Pro, but Tracy Guy won that. I would say if she wants to do a show, and I feel like it might give her a chance, I would say either do Optima, but then we know who's doing Optima this week, and that is Rachel Daniels.
Yeah, Rachel Daniels.
Yeah. So the best advice would be doing a show like the Omaha, because I think it's Omaha or Tupelo possibly could give her opportunity, because those shows, they're not as big, and you wouldn't probably see as many bodies compared to if you do Tampa or Chicago or most definitely Texas. So anyway, we as we were going back to women's bodybuilding, and Chelsea won, and I felt like there was no doubt she was going to win. I mean, Chelsea is just her physique has really come a long way. She's been a pro for the past uh, about 4 years, and since then she has made 3 Olympias since her career as a pro. And I'm a fan of Chelsea Dion. I think she has a great look to her, great physique. Could she beat someone like Andrea Shaw? No, but I'm just gonna be honest with you. She has a great look to her. Good lines, good femininity. She took third at the Triple O, bounced back and won Vancouver, and then she wins the New York Pro. And well, now there's a possibility that because of the low numbers, because she said in interviews, she said it's an interview with Female Channel, Bobby Channel. She said with these relations show and knowing Steve Weinberger, there's a possibility we may not see bodybuilding back next year.
Yeah, and it was Chelsea who said that on her interview with Female Bodybuilding Channel. She said if there's lower than 4 competitors, he may. And now we've got a show with 3 competitors. Like, is this it? Is yet another show going to be removed from the pro women's bodybuilding lineup? It's like, and especially the New York Pro, which is one of the oldest and most prestigious titles there is in bodybuilding. So it'd be a shame if they did.
Yeah, and was that long ago? They did drop women's bodybuilding and physique from New York Pro, but they brought it back in 2020. That was the year that Mila Ash won. And and I was thinking that Mela was going to do the show because she said in an interview with Glenn, Amazon Fitness Mag, and then I think a couple more bodies could jump on this. Like, remember year before last, Teresa Voss was talking about how the cost of traveling to the shows. You live in Pennsylvania. What's that? Is that a 4 or 5 hour drive from Pennsylvania to New Jersey, or maybe an hour flight to just take a flight to Newark? And then also, I interviewed Big Jane last Monday. She was going to do the show, but she got an injury, so the injury kind of set her back for a bit. And then I saw this while I was I was where was it? What was it? I was like, I follow Lena Becker, and Lena, impressive lady. She looks great, and she was backstage with some other ladies, and I didn't know that, knowing that this show is like one of the biggest shows to start the year off. Wouldn't you think you want to take your chances on? I don't think not really Chelsea, but could be.
Sorry to interrupt, George, but your connection is getting really, really bad. I can barely understand you.
What's going on?
It's like it's chopping up.
Oh,
so I don't know what's going on with it. So, man,
y'all talk for a minute. Let me pull myself out,
okay.
And and let me see what the problem is. But going back, I'm gonna pull up this picture here, and I think I just pulled it up. And give it a second. It is. Wait a minute. Where is it? I thought I had it. Wait a minute. Give me a second.
The momentum is just building for Olympia.
Yeah. There it is. Here it goes. Yeah, here it is. And that is you have Anastasia Ryder, and that's right there beside her is Brandon Ray. You have also Patty Hansen. This is I think it's Elizabeth. I think she's turned pro last year, but I think she's doing physique. But I believe she's on a pro card women's bodybuilding.
Where was this at?
This was backstage at New York Pro.
Oh.
And Anastasia, she looks like she's about in condition. Maybe she might need maybe a couple of weeks to dry out a bit. But knowing this show was coming up, I would think she would probably want to jump on it.
It comes down to expenses. Whether or not you actually, it's like you have to measure out what you've got to spend versus the shows that are available. And I mean, it all, I posted about that on my IG. It all comes down to money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I mean, gee, even one of these preps is like 10 grand
At least.
for one of these women. So, yeah. But I guess respectfully, George, I'm going to disagree with you as to the results of the New York Pro. I don't agree with Chelsea winning. I thought Nadia had a much better physique. I thought she came in a lot better conditioned. I think she had a lot more density than Chelsea did. So then that's just my, especially from the back. I thought that she had a lot better condition. So I didn't agree with them finding Chelsea as the winner for that reason. And then Lena, I think the biggest problem that she had at the show was her conditioning, especially in her lower body. Like if you look at especially the rear shots, she doesn't have nearly as much conditioning in her legs as either Chelsea or Nadia, and I think that's her biggest problem. Her upper body is incredible. I mean, that rear double bicep pose that Lena has got, it's phenomenal. It's one of the very best I've ever seen. But the problem is her conditioning, I thought, was off in her lower body. But based overall, I felt that Nadia should have won this. I didn't think Chelsea should have gotten the win. I mean, I realized she was going to get it when Chelsea was moved out of the center. I mean, it was out of the outside into the center, and then Nadia was put out. I realized at that moment when they kept her there throughout the entire prejudging, you knew Chelsea was going to win it. But respectfully, I just don't agree with it because I thought Nadia really did bring a better package.
Yeah, that's
And
the thing.
sorry, there was just one more thing. The Italians are up in arms about this decision. Like I've looked up 3 or 4 different Italian bodybuilding sites, and I had to use my Google Translate to figure out what it was saying. But they're pissed. The Italian bodybuilding community is pissed off about this decision. Because her coach basically said, "This is scandalous. I came all the way on the other side of the planet to watch this happen." And it's like you said, sometimes I wonder why I bother doing this at all anymore. So this was definitely not a popular decision for Italian bodybuilding. My personally, again, respectfully, I think they're right. I think Nadia should have won this. That's just me.
Well, you know how it is. It's about politics and popularity. I would say, yeah, Nadia has a impressive physique, but again, it's like I feel like maybe she need to work on a few things. It might be an issue with size, as you talked about earlier. Compared to Linka, who has a crazy back, I think she just need to bring in the conditioning from the backside, just tighten her glutes a little bit. With Chelsea, she did put on some size because she was working with Nasir, but now she switched to her boyfriend Chris. He's the one who's been running her camp, and that's been pretty good. If they're like I said again, if we had maybe some more contrast, maybe certain people like one person who competed at this show last year, Lavinia Barros, she took second to Ashley Jones. Now, maybe if Lavinia came in, I think I could see Lavinia and Nadia because they're kind of about the same kind of built. They have the more wider top, the cylinder to the center, and but still maybe they need more size in the legs. But like I said, Nadia Capasoto does has a impressive body. I know she wasn't happy because I did get the chance to watch the finals, and you can see her look on her face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She just posted a whole bunch of stories on her IG. I didn't understand what she was saying, because I don't speak Italian. But apparently, she did make a post earlier. She said, "Well, if you're not winning, you're losing, and I don't like to lose." And she felt that she shouldn't have lost, obviously. But I mean, yeah, I mean this was not an agreed upon decision by all. So.
Yeah, but there's always shows that you never know. You always pick the person that just like last year in Portugal, you had Sherry Priami, and she showed up shredded and conditioned, and they still didn't give it to Sherry. So, it's just one of those things, and what the judges are looking for and
Right.
what they favor. And when we think about the momentum they're trying to build, maybe that's what it's about. They're trying to build the momentum for the Olympia when they talk about the symmetry and the lines and the femininity that they're going for. If you think about it, now that Chelsea's in it, well, you've got Andrea, and you've got Yeo, and you've got Ashley Jones, and you've got Lavina, and you've got Christina, and now you've got Chelsea. I mean, that's a freaking, first call out of just structure, if you think about it. And maybe that's what they're going for. Let's build the momentum to this. Let's draw let's start drawing the promotion for it. Because, each one of these competitors brings structure. And if they're trying to go back to old school, that's what they have to reward if you want to go back to old school.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, also you got to throw in another, person in there. Even though she may not fit the structure, she is qualified for the Olympia, and that is Anastasia Kovaleva, and that is a different level.
And we didn't even name Triple O Dynasty. Oh gosh.
How do you pronounce her name?
Gavin, I think it's Gavin,
Mm-hmm.
because I know she interviewed with Glenn, and he said Gavin. That's her. I was going Given, but he says Gavin. So and with her physique kind of reminds me of a lady from back in the day I was a fan of, Heather Foster. She reminds me a bit of Heather Foster. Just need to come in a little tighter.
She's just a little shorter.
Yeah, and she's coming a little tighter in the conditioning. She might do pretty good.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to the subject of how, as we look at this sport now, it's changed and evolved, and the rules and the standards of it. In your opinions, do you think that there should be more? You should really stick to the guidelines where you can tell the difference. What is the criteria for physique and women's bodybuilding, or is these kind of throw everything out with the bathwater with the baby?
I'm just still looking for a clear definition of what women's physique is. And to me, when I look at Sharonica Hinton, that's true women's physique.
My opinion, I've mentioned this earlier, and I know it sounds like science fiction, but I still honestly believe in it. We should look into the possibility of machines judging shows. If the humans can't do it, the humans can't do it consistently, a machine can. Because we've got the technology now that would enable us to be able to do that.
Sure can.
So I mean, if the humans can't do it, if they're going to be so subjective that they're going to change their minds at every show, machines aren't going to do that because they're going to operate by the most consistent standard in all of existence, mathematics. So, because no matter where you go, 2 + 2 is 4. And that's how stuff like facial recognition software operates.
Yep.
And also now the technology has expanded to the entire human body. So now if we've got this opportunity to come up with a consistent judge, and if humans can't do it, have the machines take over. Have them judge the show. I mean, but I agree with you also, Eunice, is that if we are going to be stuck with the humans, they need to be sticking with what they say they want. And they're not. I mean, especially on the amateur level. Like I pointed out, if a girl can get into bikini, figure, wellness, and bodybuilding. No, what was it? It was wellness, figure, physique, and bodybuilding in the same show and win 3 of those 4 divisions? What are we doing here? Because all 4 of those are supposed to have different looks from each other. And this girl with the same physique won all 4. Won 3 out of the 4.
Who's this?
That's
Who's
That's
this?
ridiculous.
Who's this she
Trying to
talking
remember.
about?
I'm trying to remember her name. She was. This was not this year. It was last year. Let me see if I can look her up. But I saw that. I was like, you got to be kidding me. How is this even possible? Because they're allowing divisional crossovers like that. And they shouldn't be doing, in my humble opinion, shouldn't be doing it for that reason.
I agree. I hate crossovers because it's a different body type. The criteria is different for every category. So I agree with that. But let me ask you a question. So there was I forget what his name was. There was a guy on Instagram. He was saying, I don't know if this is true because I've never judged any shows. So they were saying like you have a table of judges and look at the competitors and they're like, okay, well, who do you think is better? Or who are you picking? So they probably go with what another judge would say. If they don't agree, they'll just go with like majority rules. So I don't know if that's true or not, but if that's the case, then how's that fair either? Like you're just going by what this other judge says because you don't maybe you've seen so many competitors and you're getting tired of looking at competitors. Like, what do you think? Or what do you think? But how is that like? Isn't each judge supposed to have like their own like opinion? So
Well, I heard that when it comes down to it, it's the head judge that does everything. All the other judges can have opinion, and they say they might, okay, we want to go with that person, but that head judge can cancel them out because he's the head judge. So they're the head judge. I mean, to me that's not fair. I mean, if it's like
I don't know.
Yeah. If it's like a number system, if you have I think what is it, maybe 4 or 5 judges that sit on sometimes in a show. Okay, so you have a split. You might have out of those 4 or 5, you might have 2 or 3 that want to go with this competitor, head judge, and one of the other judges go to the competitor. You almost kind of I think what it could say, okay, if you have more numbers for this competitor, then that competitor should win. But then head judge can overrule that decision and say, you know what, I'm going my decision. So to me, that's kind of like it's unfair. If it's the numbers game and this person has the numbers, what's the point even having all the judges?
Yeah, that's true.
So
I get why they have all the judges because sometimes you have to have a lot of competitors to look at. But if everybody's going with this one person, the head judge's like, well, I don't like that person. I'm gonna go with this one instead. I agree. It's like, what's the point? So.
Yeah. Anyway, I did watch the figure. I said I've been a little more interested in it because it's a division that's also getting a little pushback. Because it's not like the Arnold. There's a show coming up, I think next weekend. That is the Legion Sports Festival, which usually be at the end of the Olympia season. But they started to. I was interviewing a lady that both me and Kay interviewed, lovely Mrs. Crystal Garcia. She mentioned to me how they dropped figure from that show, and I heard from Eva Pennington, who won it last year, and when they dropped it too. So I was watching it, and a lady who's very impressive is Lena Rumstein. Lena, this was her 3rd show, and she was at the FIBO, which was I think was a month before last, and she took second to Jennifer Tennant, who was also at the show. They both did Pittsburgh together. She's also from Germany. She did Pittsburgh, she did FIBO, and she did New York. And she was able to come up top and win. I mean, especially, she's very impressive.
Yeah, I liked her.
Yeah.
I really liked her physique.
Yeah.
So I'm happy she won.
Yeah. I know the Female Bodybuilding channel, me had a debate that maybe, where her could, maybe she's maybe just about there physique, but I think she still has a long way to go. But I think she's kind of what the standard you see now in physique.
You mean figure?
I mean figure. Oh yeah, figure.
Okay, I was gonna say.
We might well call it physique because you look at something we're in now.
Right.
You look at Lola Montez. You look at Jessica Reyes Padilla. There was this one chick. I think she's from the Ukraine or something. I was watching it. Her name was Gabriella, she did a back shot, and I think it's somewhere in the let me see. I think the Female Body Channel have put a picture of it in their stories, if I can find it. And when we looked at her, go forward here, you were thinking somewhere right here, you would think she was closer. Let me see, it's right. Let me see. Give it Wait a minute. And she should be right here. This is her.
Gosh. Wow, she's got a bento back.
Yeah. This is she was competing women's physique. And if you look at her back, figure.
She, that's crazy.
She is wow. And I think she had some issue with her abdominals. She might have a little bit of bloat because she looked like she couldn't really, flex them as good.
Can you pull up a front pose of her?
Let me see. Let me go and see if I can go into her IG and see if I can find it.
Because just looking at that back, I'm like, what?
That looks bodybuilding.
That
looks, well, I don't know about bodybuilding, but it's definitely not figure.
No, it's not figure.
It's definitely not. It's like either borderline WPD or flat out in WPD. It's like.
See, here it is. I got here it is.
That is WPD.
Yeah,
that's with lats like that.
Yeah,
that is not figure anymore.
Yeah, delts and arms like that, and look at those lats. Wow.
Right. Like, just
take her heels off. Take her heels off, George, and see, and then put her next to Sharonica, or put her next to,
or even Natalia.
Yeah,
she could give with an upper body like that. She could give Natalia a run for her money, easy.
Yeah,
that's not figure anymore. Sorry, it just isn't.
It's not. It's density.
Well,
holy cow. That density.
Well, she's been to Olympia at least a couple of times in her career. I think she competed last year. This is 2023 when she competed at, and and this is a comparison I think from 2022, and you can see here.
Yeah, it's like if you didn't know any better, you'd look at the picture and say, that's just edited." I'm like, my God, like you said, Eunice, look at the lats and the deltoids. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Can I ask y'all something?
Go ahead.
Why does it seem like why is it so surprising? Like the way you guys saying it? Because it doesn't that happen to other people too? I'm just curious.
What do you mean?
No, like other competitors, like like they look like they should be in another division.
Well, I think they evolve, and she's definitely evolved, and I think someone needs to be clear with her and tell her, maybe that's the feedback she got this time, but because she's definitely, to me, it's like she's in the wrong division.
Mm-hmm.
If I were a judge, I'd say you're ready for women's physique.
Mm-hmm. And then what they're gonna do? They're gonna use the excuse saying, "Well, I don't want to go. I don't get as big." Well, you're right there.
You already are there, right? Exactly, right.
You're at the door. It's the door knocking. Just open the door and walk on in.
But I think it's also because they just don't want to do it, or like they don't want to move from figure to women's physique or women's physique to bodybuilding, is because they see what's happening to it. Opportunities are disappearing. The field for shows is not very good. So that's a big reason why a lot of people are wanting to stay put where they are, even though you're exactly right, George. They've evolved beyond it. That girl there, she's not figure anymore. That's just my own humble opinion. She's not anymore. But it's
just, as we talk about, but still, as long as there's still opportunities for you, because we said again, we've seen physique competitors who jump from physique to women's bodybuilding, and like good example, Sherry, Alden Opry, who was physique, Senor, Barrito, Lavinia Barros, there's a good number of ladies who did physique. Remember Sherry, not Sherry, I mean, Chelsea. She was physique for a good long time. And then when she turned pro in women's bodybuilding. And now she's going for a third Olympia. I know the numbers are shrinking, but it's still opportunity you can get on it. And you can't forget also, Nadia is a good example of that too. Because when she switched back in 2021, she in 1 year had won 3 shows and
Right.
2
She did.
Olympia qualifications.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about Nadia Capitasto, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I remember that. For
Yeah.
debut year, she just blew people away. I think it was Puerto Rico Pro. I'm trying to remember what the other ones were.
Puerto Rico. She won Puerto Rico, and then she did the Romanian Muscle Fest, and then she did a show was the Big Man Weekend, and that they'll have wins physique. All that is now is just it was in Brazil. It was also in, I think it was in Portugal too, but now I think it was Spain, and now it's just men's open and bikini. They dropped all the other divisions, just have men's open and bikini.
Oh, I found that girl that I was talking about. If you want, I don't know if I can actually present her figure here or picture here. Let me see if I can do that. But yeah, I just double checked her. Let's see. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I don't know how I do that. Or do I send it to you?
Yeah, you
How
send
do
it
I
to me
do it?
because if you can just send me a link and I'll just copy and paste it, or just give me her name. I can, if she's on
Okay.
IG, I can find her on IG.
Sophia Singler. Sophia Singler. This was the Louisiana State Championships in the True Novice division. She won in figure, wellness, physique, and bodybuilding.
So
And when you take a look at her physique is bodybuilding. So how did somebody with a bodybuilder physique win in a wellness division? How was she even allowed into that?
and she goes by Lifting Queen.
I don't know. Let me see.
I got a Sophia, but I'm trying. I need Singler. How you spell her name? It's like SING. Oh, okay, I got it. I think I got it. Give me a second. And I think she does some powerlifting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got it.
Let me see if I can find the picture that I have. I don't know if I can send it to you or how I do it, but I mean, when I pulled her up on NPC News Online, and you look at her pictures there, it's like, how does somebody with that big physique get into wellness and figure and physique? How does she do that?
Like with crossovers, they allow you with crossovers.
But that's the point, is that how in the world do you win it was in the True Novice division? How do you, number one, allowed to enter all 4 of those, now let alone win all 4 of those? She shouldn't
What
have
kind
even
of show
been allowed
was this?
This was this was the Louisiana Championships.
And it was a regional, right? It was regional. So
Let me
regional,
see if I can.
if there's not many competitors, then
Yeah, but the point is, she shouldn't have even been allowed to do that in the first place.
Yeah.
How do you win in wellness with a bodybuilder physique? Same thing with figure. I mean,
well, if you send it to me,
yeah, I will.
Yeah. Well, my phone is off because but if you can, just send me the link in here because I turn off my phone because usually I don't want be disturbed while we're doing interviews and we're doing live.
Right, I get it.
Yeah,
but it's like I saw that and it was like, this shouldn't be allowed. But that's what we're doing on the That's what we're doing on the amateur level.
She looked wellness a bit, like, to me. I don't know.
With a
Then
quad,
bodybuilding.
yeah, but she's doing bodybuilding physique and doing wellness. But you know, with the wellness girls, they kind of float in between like physique and bodybuilding in a way, with a little bit of bikini, because especially the top, you know. And
Yeah.
then since this show was probably the regional show, you know, depending on how many people that was competing in that show, you know, here's just a September 2020. That was about 3 years ago from October 2023. You really see how much it's changed.
Yeah.
That's like two different people. But she does a lot of powerlifting, and
What year was that? What, after what year was 2002? What, show the
it
year
was
again? Like the time?
this is from
Oh,
September 2020, and this is her October 2023.
Okay, I just posted the
wow.
link
All
over
right,
in the chat.
give me a second. Let me pull it up. Let's see. And let's see. Let me copy it.
Oh.
See if I can. Let me see if I can copy it. And let's see what we can get here. Give me a second,
I'm on my
fellas.
tablet right now, so
That's right. Let's see what happens here.
wow. Yeah, she got an incredible physique. Yeah, she
Yeah, but
looked kind
see,
of like,
that's bodybuilding.
That's
That's what that
bodybuilding.
is.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
She do. Yeah, she is kind of have that bodybuilding physique
So, I mean,
also, but
wellness, she would be like 2 times smaller than that. Or if she was going to be according to the criteria that they're looking for. So how was she allowed to get in all 4 divisions with a bodybuilder physique? This is why you shouldn't be allowing divisional crossovers.
You know what?
maybe she's special. I don't know.
But like I said again, this show was a regional show, and if the judges only go by what they see, and if you're a person saying, you know what, let me take my chances and let me throw my hat in so many divisions and see what comes back. It's like you're fishing. You know, you go out there, you throw a line, you know, you sit there, and you get a bite, and she got 3 bites. She probably won a women's physique, women's bodybuilding, and figure.
But she
The other two,
shouldn't have. That's the point. She shouldn't have even been allowed to do that because all 4 of these divisions are supposed to have distinct criteria from each other, which means that it should result in a different look than all the others. So, how does somebody in that situation get into 4 different divisions, each one which is supposed to have a distinct look from each other, and win all 4? How does that happen?
you know, brother, as I said again, we can't explain to you. And you know, promoters, it's also about the money thing. If
I
you
know,
have,
but I
yeah,
mean, we shouldn't be allowing divisional crossovers for this reason.
well,
well,
it
As
could have
long as you got
been
a situation like this.
maybe in some of the classes she was the only competitor.
yeah, because it was a regional show. This show, it wasn't a big show, and a regional show. Because I know I interviewed a couple of ladies that done a regional, and that's how they got their national qualification, because they were probably the only competitor at the show. You know, it's regionals. You'll get more of allowance because you're just competing to get nationals. But then if it's nationals, like you remember, I interviewed Natalie Miller, you know, and she earned a pro card both in physique and women's bodybuilding. And you know, last year's nationals, there was only 6 women. And the one woman who looked like she should be bodybuilding was Brittany Diamond, but they went with Natalie, and she won both the pro card and the overall.
Shouldn't have happened. But, oh well.
Yeah, well, so
But we're asking the question, why are the women looking so similar on the pro level in between all of these divisions? Why? Look at what's happening on the amateur level. Look at what's getting rewarded. Look at what's happening. I mean, what's happening in the amateur division is bleeding over into the pro ranks. That's why it's happening.
like I said, you know, brother, it's about money. It's about
It is.
you know,
It is. You're right.
what's popular. That's why they're pushing the new fit model division. You know, Pittsburgh Pro
Yeah.
was also was also it was a pro qualifier for was it for